I'm gonna call this meeting to order.
It's everything for the last 5 years. So,
In a minute. Okay. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Okay. Let's see, do we want to say a pledge before we get started? Might as well. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Citizens' concerns. Moving on to, I see none, so move on to approval of prior month's minutes. Everybody have a chance?
No objections?
No objections.
Okay, let's approve those. Next up is Adam. Mayor's appointment to fill a vacancy on the litter prevention board. You step up and stay in the record and your address for the record, please.
Address is 2650 Cross Ridge Way in Perrysburg.
And you guys have any questions?
I can't think of a single question after reading this application. I think you know a lot about litter.
A lot about litter, a lot about recycling.
Yes, yes.
Impressive resume for that particular.
Yeah,
Almost a year old.
very impressive. Just seems like you want to add one more thing to what you do. You seem like a very busy man.
Yeah, but I've been in the township for a while, just recently moved, and always kind of been keeping an eye on it. If I got into the city, this would be a spot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions from Kevin?
I don't think so.
I have-
Excited about doing it, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Just from the outside looking in, now that you're in, have you seen things that you think could be improved with our litter and recycling program? Or you want to get into the weeds and see?
Right. Sure.
I mean,
There's always
There's always
room for
something. I mean,
improvement.
I'm sure you can get on there and offer some suggestions that you've come across that.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a look at public space recycling, why, especially for some of the events downtown. If I'm walking around with a water bottle, that's a good option, having something like that. Bowling Green just did a municipal drop-off for composting for food waste.
Oh, nice.
Let's talk to that and bring that up this way. So, there's lots of good ideas, and electronics and styrofoam and campaign signs and things that are hard to recycle. We've run across ways to do collections and get those things where they need to go.
Well, talk about the public space recycling, and that's been brought up at this committee before.
Mm-hmm.
I know other people have brought that. In fact, I think
What is it?
even Mr. Hagan has brought that up about, like, say we have events uptown there.
Oh.
We don't have recycling. We have trash bins, but we don't have any recycling bins. And I think, Bridget, I think you answered that. It was a logistics issue or something that.
Some of it is a little bit logistics, but some of it's also the fact that people throw garbage in their recycling totes.
Yeah, they're just not going to use it properly, right?
Right. So sometimes it comes down to good signage and where we find
Tasers.
Yeah.
That's not work.
some volunteers to monitor.
So you've
but
seen that.
I got
So,
to imagine that people want to do the right thing. It just takes a little bit of
right,
conditioning.
a little conditioning. All right, I got you. Well,
Especially in Perrysburg. We can do it.
yeah.
I do know one of the biggest issues that's hard is the electronic recycling. Old printers and computers and that type of thing.
Yeah, so a couple collection events. OI
Yeah.
just did theirs recently for Earth Day. They had a parking lot collection, but looking at a couple of electronics recyclers in town, I think.
I just read about a company that's going to be actively buying that type of recycling and mining the minerals out of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rare earth minerals in those that you can extract.
Right, there's good stuff in electronics, so.
Do you guys have any questions?
Well, we're
I don't
good.
think so. Like I said, I think the application's pretty thorough. It's good. Glad you could be here.
Yeah, I'm sure the board will all be glad that you're joining them and bring some experience and more experience, knowledge to what they already have.
We recommend this onto council, or?
Yes, but you
Yes.
don't have to go to city council unless you really want to. It will be on the agenda for Tuesday with 800,000 other things, just so you
Oh,
know.
just a quick line item.
So
Actually, the motion.
it'll be a motion by the mayor at the beginning. If you want to come, you're welcome to come, but this is where they do the like, talk to you, get to know you part.
They've never gone against our recommendations yet, so
Sure.
I'm sure you'll be voted on. You'll be
Yeah.
voted in. All right?
It's a formality.
Well, thank you.
No,
Thanks for your
you.
offering your service to the city and expertise.
I look forward to it.
All right?
Greatly appreciate it.
Welcome to the city.
Yep.
Thank you.
Forget the township. Yeah.
Ooh,
Thanks for coming.
yeah,
I got a
thanks.
meeting with Township next
Thank you.
Oh, okay. We'll keep it.
Thank you.
Strike that.
Trying to be nice.
Strike that, yeah.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the change order.
Yes, this is a change order from Munger and Munger. They were the design architects on the improvements to Station 38. We have received a final bill, if you will, and included in that were some final reimbursables. That reimbursable total took it over the $1,500 that was outlined in the original ordinance or resolution. That is my bad. I don't know why I put in a not to exceed amount for the reimbursables, because you never know what the reimbursables are. What I should have asked for funding for was reimbursables and list off the types of reimbursables that would qualify, you know, such as printing. There's quite a bit of permitting. I think where I kind of messed up a bit is I did not account appropriately for the permits that are obtained by through Wood County by the architect on our behalf. I did not include those fees in there. So this increase to the reimbursables is to take care of those permitting fees that are required of us by Wood County.
I've never read that.
Were the permits for change orders?
No, just
Oh.
obtaining the actual building permits.
The actual, to
Yes.
update,
Yeah, the building permits that we had to pull in order to do the renovations.
okay.
So I did not appropriately account for that. So as again, I said I should not have put a not to exceed amount. I should have listed out funding for reimbursables to include the printing, mileage, any incidental travel costs, permits. I should have kind of listed that out. As it is listed out currently in our actual agreement, I missed that, so. But now that we have a city engineer on board, I won't be doing this again, and somebody else will. That's the good thing.
So it wasn't in the original resolution, is that what you meant?
In the original agreement with our architects, it lists out what those reimbursables will include. And it's just a dollar for dollar, whatever that dollar is, it costs them, they pass it through to us. But for some reason, in my head, I asked for a not to exceed amount when I had no idea what the permits were gonna cost. So that was a mistake on my part. So hopefully that won't happen again going forward. But this is the final invoice for the entire project. It's all closed out, all the punch list items are done, everything's done with the contractor. So this is
Turned out well?
the final piece. Turned out well. They're very happy with it. It gave them some expansion room out in the bays. It changed and gave them kind of like the warm, cool, hot zone concept that we have at the new fire station. It's a little bit modified, but it gave them that ability. It gave them new shower, restroom facilities, new sleeping quarters, reconfigured sleeping quarters. It did modify the kitchen or the day room or the offices that are on the back of the apparatus bay. But it did give them additional space in the apparatus bay and kind of reconfigured it to get all their equipment in it.
Can we stop by and see it sometime?
Sure.
I've seen way before renovations, but I'd
You know
love
what
to
I
see.
can do is I can ask Deputy Chief Granata for a date and kind of circulate it, and he knows all about the befores and the afters and can take you through it.
Love to see it.
I will make note of that.
Thank you.
Any objections to send this out for council for approval?
No objections?
The next up on the agenda will be the request to purchase a mechanic's truck.
Yes, so we are requesting to purchase a new mechanic's truck, replace an 11-year-old vehicle, approximately 96,000 miles on it. The truck has functionally outlived its useful life. It's not a vehicle that we have a lot of repairs on, but we have found that this vehicle cannot carry all the tools and equipment that we need to carry nowadays, as well as it's two-wheel drive, and we can't attach a plow to it. What we've currently done in our programming for snow plowing is we've included mechanics on the list, so not only during the day when the mechanics are on shift, if it's a heavy snowfall, we'll have all our trucks out with plows out on the road, but the mechanics are also, have been trained now to plow snow. We'd like to be able to attach a plow onto that, so when they're not busy during the day, during snowfall, they can assist in the parks, in the city parking lots. And then as well as when they're on night rotation, when we're out plowing at night, we have one mechanic that comes in and is available to repair equipment. Well, when he's not repairing equipment, he can hop in this vehicle and get out there and keep up to date on snow when it's in our parks, parking lots here, the other public parking lots on 2nd Street, 3rd Street, as well as being able to take all the equipment that they need to take when they go to a location to fix a vehicle. What they find is they're going there and they don't have the right tool, the right piece of equipment, they're running back to the shop, bringing it back. So this allows them to carry more equipment to cut down on that travel time. And again, we're also replacing an 11-year-old vehicle and trying to get it into a nice rotation.
I was looking at the agreement, or the purchase agreement, is this gonna be like a utility, like have utility sides on it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Have almost like tool cribs on the sides.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, you have that exactly correct.
Are we getting rid of the old one
Yes.
entirely?
Yes.
Usually goes to the auction, right?
Typically, yes, unless we have a request from another jurisdiction. So once we have the value of that nailed down, and if the value exceeds a certain amount, then we bring that back to committee and council for disposal. And I'm not sure what the lead time is on delivery of this vehicle, so I don't know when that'll be exactly. And it is within the anticipated budget that we brought before city council.
So would this vehicle also be used to, so you mentioned they'd be able to go do maintenance on like other vehicles if they're at a different location or something like that?
Yes, yes, so they'll be able to go over to utilities and work on vehicles, or fire, or police, depending on what the situation is. But as what they found is they get over to utilities and they think they have tool X, they have tool Y, and now they gotta drive back over because they only have so much storage space on that particular truck. And one of the bigger things is for the service director is having the ability to have a plow attached to that, so they can absolutely pitch in when needed.
And this include like anything else they're gonna put on it, air compressor, anything like that?
That's a good question. I do not recall on the air compressor. I think it was more of the mechanic's box on the back, as Councilman Fuller was describing, but I can certainly find that out and email the committee.
Just curious.
And see if, I don't know if they pull anything off the old truck, like if there's a generator or something.
They should be able to swap most things out if there is one, and I honestly, I probably saw that vehicle 10 years ago.
Do those
I haven't seen it
mechanics
since.
service or heavy equipment too? Like, I want to say, or heavier equipment, like,
We are able to service heavier equipment now. You may recall in this budget that passed, there was some lifts in there, and that allows for the larger trucks to be lifted up inside our bays, so we don't have to shift those out now. So we are able to do some of those. Some of the very, very large scale, we still take the Cummins or down to what used to be Nolenberger, and I can't remember who they are now. Down,
Harvest, anything?
can't
I know who
remember.
you're talking about.
Is that Nolenberger's? Somebody bought them out, I
Yeah,
can't remember the name.
That's the one.
But there are still some issues that we will, like sometimes some transmission issues we'll always ship out because of the time and effort involved in that. But we are.
I had
able
in
to
mind
do
like
more.
maybe like an excavator, like, a
Oh.
backhoe or things like that. We do maintenance on site. Like, would this truck be doing that type of maintenance?
If we are I'll say certified to handle those pieces of equipment, yes, they would take this out to the site and they would have that piece of equipment, heavy equipment trailered to the Roasted Road location. Yes, they would go out to public utilities, wastewater treatment, or on site if they're out excavating and something has gone wrong. But I will find out about air compressor and any
I was
other
just curious.
gadgets that can be transferred over.
They should have an air compressor, I don't know if they don't. Just saying.
I will follow up with that and send an email.
Any other questions or comments?
No, this cost looks right in line with
Make sure, it looks,
the trucks that we've purchased.
We were surprised that the price hadn't gone up over our budgeted amounts.
Yeah,
and
That
it's
seems like a
local.
pretty good price for that.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's local.
Yes.
So you guys have any trouble sending it on to?
No objections there.
I'm good with it.
Next up is to award the 2022 resurfacing.
Yes, so we did go out to bid. We had a internal struggle on what our number was we were shooting for, because we had no idea what cost of materials was gonna be, how the pricing was gonna go. So we kind of picked a conservative number based on the worst streets that we had in our laundry list. Even though we budgeted almost $2 million, I believe, for resurfacing for this year, city engineer was a little bit nervous about bidding out that whole dollar amount. So what will probably end up happening is during our budgeting process for 2023, we'll probably roll in any monies that we didn't expend and have a bigger budget next year than we normally would for resurfacing, with the hopes that the pricing for materials and labor kind of gets back in line where it was a year or so ago. But this bid that came in is the low bid out of, I believe, 4 bidders, $709,097.94. City engineers requesting a 15% contingency in case we need to do some extra curb cut work at intersections, or just curb work in general, or we've run into some catch basin issues that we might not be aware of. And this covers Apple Junction Road, and it's the west end of Apple Junction from where we left off last year around the school, and then around Fort Meigs, and then going all the way to Delaware, where it dead ends. Fawn Circle, which we didn't pick up last year in that area. 5 Point Road, we'll have a lot of people who will be happy about that.
Yes.
And this is a section from Park Gillis down to Summerfield, going east to 25. We've decided, after conversations with Steve Mitchell regarding how fast Coventry Point is getting built out and additional land that he is looking to acquire, that we are quite a few years out yet from the sewer line that we are oversizing in conjunction with him getting through that subdivision out onto 5 Point. That's when we wanted to replace 5 Point, but we're probably 5 to 7 years out, and that road is just not gonna make it, as you may be aware if you've driven down it lately. So that would replace that road, again, from Park Gillis, which is our West Corp line right there, going east to Summerfield subdivision. And then we would tackle the rest of it at a further date, because that end, the far east end, is not near as bad as that stretch right there. And then Laurel Lane is, I think this was on our list last year, and this is either one that we didn't get to touch last year but wanted to, or we're finishing up another section of it, the final section. And then last but not least is Rivercrest Drive, and I believe that's the whole stretch of Rivercrest Drive. So that's what's on our plate for.
Is Summerfield east of Brookhaven?
Yes, Summerfield is on the north side of the road, just past those few single-family.
Where
homes.
Otterbein is?
Just past Otterbein.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes, the
Yes.
new.
Yes.
Do we have a system of rating our roads?
Yes, we do. We have used outside consultants every few years, but I think that's something that Brian plans on taking over himself, because he has that knowledge and ability to
Right.
do.
I know ODOT uses PCR.
Yes, yeah, we have had 2 different companies come in and do, at 2 different times since I've been here, PCR ratings. Both used a little bit different methodology, if I remember correctly. So we're still using that model, the last model that we had updated a couple years ago, but then Brian is, now that he's, really
Yeah.
got his feet under him, I think he plans on taking that over himself and keep that up to date on an annual basis.
Bridget, is it concerning at all that they're so much lower than the other 3? Is it
According-
possible they missed something?
According to
Or?
the city engineer, he sat down with them, they went over the scope.
Yeah.
There's no price adjustments for materials or supplies, we're locked in.
There's a lot of things that can change that price.
And Gherkin is a very
I've worked with,
well-respected
yeah.
company that we've
You've
I
you've
like
done
a
a
lot
lot
of our
with.
projects, we've worked with them on, especially intersection projects and paving, and we've not had an issue, so.
I've worked with them too. They're a very good company.
It's funny, I mean, the other ones are all within 50, 60, 70,000 of each other, and this was
Yeah, so
100
maybe their schedule's not as full as others.
160 some under.
I was just gonna say, it all depends on when you put the bid on too. Certain times of year, you'll get lower prices. Those other companies, as she alluded to, who's on the list? I'll tell you.
The other
Shelley.
companies that bid were Shelley, Crestline, and Bowers.
They probably already have projects and they're like, oh, if we get it, we will get
Yeah,
it.
I don't necessarily want
Sometimes
to
they pad
price.
them on purpose because they kind of don't want to do it, but if they do get it, they,
And I will say our engineer's estimate, Brian was trying to figure out what materials were gonna be costing when this went out to bid versus when the bids were coming in.
anything with fuel.
So
costs.
he was being very conservative on that, because he did not want it to exceed that engineer's estimate by more than 10%, because then we have to throw out all the bids and start back over again.
Anything with fuel costs, anything that uses petroleum, whether it's.
And I even asked him, I verified that they cannot add any fuel, additional fuel costs on, or any price increases for
Price
materials.
adjustment.
Right, their contingencies are only if they run into something that was
Yes, and-
unforeseen.
And those contingencies are held in our hands, and the Brian would have to sign off on each and every one
Okay.
of them. So it's not an automatic contingency for the
Well,
contractor.
that's wonderful. They can do it for
We've
that
been
price.
doing that for years because, well, I shouldn't say years, just recently because we never did contingencies and they'd have to come back, which is stupid.
Because you know something's gonna come up.
Yeah, you never
It's
know.
Oh, it always does.
You never know. And who knows, like I said, those other companies could have been really busy and, you know,
Well, if you notice, Mark, on the line items here, it looks like on the Echo Junction, the pavement planning, asphalt concrete, it looks like that cost that they bid that's significantly lower. And then the full depth pavement repair, I mean, that between those two, that almost makes up the difference in that next lowest bid. So I don't know, I know some of the companies like this do, they'll recycle that material, that planing material, and they'll reuse it. And I know.
That's how they can do it?
Yeah, either batch plants or.
yeah.
On asphalt.
Yeah, well, it looks like Bowers is really close to, on that line, you're talking about 70-254?
Oh, that requires them to.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, what was the other one?
The other one was the full depth pavement repair in 5 Point. That looked like that was,
150-253.
Oh, yeah, I see. 140. Oh, yeah, that's the big one there, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of sets them apart from the other pricing.
Okay, and full depth pavement repair.
That's
Wow.
something they.
And we've worked with all these contractors in the past and haven't had any issues, so.
Okay,
Typically, you don't know what's gonna need full depth pavement repair, so you just guesstimate how much to set aside for that.
Yeah, I don't know that if we did any borings, it may have been, we made somebody come out and do 5 Point, because we know it's in bad shape, we just didn't know how bad.
But, yeah, grindings when I first started were worthless and you give them away to farmers for their drives and stuff. And now they have a value thanks to ODOT requiring them to do so much in the new asphalt.
Recycled content.
Any other questions?
no,
I recommend it to go on to council for approval.
yes.
Thank you.
Is that all? I guess it's all, unless anybody has anything else.
I just had some for other business.
Okay.
Bridget, so with our service department, do we typically do like a pothole patching repairs and things like that?
All the time.
Okay.
Constantly.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they've been out probably 6 or 7 times already, and actually this week, now that brush pickup is over with, they're back out doing potholes, as long as it hasn't just rained, because obviously you want it dry, you can't have the water sitting in it.
Yeah.
But if you see potholes, feel free to shoot me a text, shoot me an
Great.
email. And as I drive around town, I'm in contact with the service director. They have a running list. So as the crews go out, they get a list and they look at it, and they try to pick off an area and see what's on there and tackle it.
Okay. It just kind of crossed my mind when I was looking at, we talked about this paving project. I was wondering how much of that we do.
Yeah, so annually, we do a lot of pothole repairing, patching, and in the spring as well as in the fall. And then as soon as the weather really breaks, we'll get out and start doing crack sealing.
And that's the best.
And we have our
way.
new Durapatcher that council allowed us to purchase last year, and that'll be coming out shortly, and it'll tackle certain types of potholes versus just throwing in the asphalt mix.
Patch. Oh.
Patching, crack sealing is one of the best ways to prolong the life of your asphalt.
Kind of fun, actually.
That's all I have unless anybody has anything else.
That was it.
I just wanted to say that I think I participated in a couple of the America's Cleanup. Judy
I'm going-
Hagen's doing a wonderful job organizing that at the parks, and it's been going on right now throughout all the Saturdays, so
Since I won't
just
be
want to
out,
give her a shout out.
since I won't be out running 10 miles on a Saturday morning, I'm planning on trying to make one.
Yes, it's great.
I will pass your compliment.
Please do. She's just
Yeah.
really, she's great with these groups. I tell you what, her little pep talk in the beginning just makes people want to work for her. They just want to work hard, pick up litter, so she does a great job.
You know, that first week you were out there, I brought my 2-year-old, and
Yeah.
he did great with him. Hooked him up with a vest and everything. He's up
Right,
there.
right, she makes it fun. Yeah, so, all right,
That's all I have.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sticking around too.
Yeah. Mark's the only one.
Yeah,